Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is the Unstoppable Podcast Show, and I am Jennifer Hardy. And today I am joined by the amazing Emma Quinn. Hi, Emma. How are you doing, hon?
Hi, Jen. I'm amazing. Thank you. How are you?
I am awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today. I've got so much to talk to you about. Obviously, I know that you have got two incredible businesses. So not one, but two
I
businesses.
know. I must be mad. I must be totally mad.
Incredible though, it's so inspiring. And one of your businesses is called Piffy and Egg, which I just absolutely adore. And it's an e-commerce business, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So it actually promotes art therapy and is in aid of the mental health charity Mind. So we're using art therapy as a low intervention for mental health recovery. And the name is actually me and my best friend's nicknames for each other. So she's Piffy and I'm Egg. So we just thought it would be something really fun, really happy, and just put a different spin on the way that we see mental health.
That is incredible. I was actually going to ask you where did the inspiration for the name come from, but there we go, it's done. And also then, so this has been a newer business that's been launched, but it's basically coaching, mentorship, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So was really, really excited about Piffy and Egg, but I just kept feeling like something else was missing, and I felt like I wasn't targeting the person that I was last year. And I had a severe mental health breakdown last year, and I think a lot of that was I was feeling really stuck. I didn't really know where I was going. I was, really, really ambitious, but just working hard and not feeling like I was getting anywhere and really unfulfilled. And I felt like if I had have known about kind of this whole world of coaching at that time, then I probably wouldn't have reached that kind of really, really severe burnout point. Yeah. So I wanted to create a service that actually reaches out to people before the burnout. I really, really strongly believe that to achieve all of these wonderful things, you don't have to hit rock bottom and make these changes out of kind of fear and necessity. I think we should be making them out of confidence and empowerment instead.
Absolutely. And before we dive into your actual businesses, I'd love to just ask a few questions around what you've just spoke about there and burnout and, being in such a low place that it was complete breakdown for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've had experience of exactly the same thing through different stages of my life, but I would love to ask you, Emma, what was a trigger for you? What was the thing that spiraled this, or was it literally a build-up of lots of things together? I'd love to kind of know, just to help anyone that's out there also have an understanding and hopefully inspire them to see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel as well.
Yeah. So mine was a really kind of complex mixture of both of those sort of things you've just mentioned there, and kind of unbeknown to us as I was growing up, I've always had long-standing mental health problems. So I have obsessive compulsive disorder, and also we've recently discovered that I have bipolar affective disorder. So I've grown up with depression, and I think I've only had 1 or 2 episodes of mania. So bipolar is like, I could talk about this for hours. It's not, what people think it is. And I'll be doing a lot of work with Piffy and Egg to educate people on how these diseases kind of actually work and present themselves. Yeah. So I had been really, really poorly since I was a young child, but hats off to kids because they really develop mechanisms from such a young age to be able to hide these things, to be able to function highly, recognize that you're different, but try and fit in society. And that's exhausting. And I recognized from a young age that it was really exhausting. I always felt different, and I began to feel really, really isolated from a young age, knowing that I was kind of, everything just felt hard. Everything felt really difficult. I was always trying to be really kind, but things like losing friends would really hit me hard. Really, really subtle signs when you're younger that wouldn't, and obviously we didn't pick up on them. And then taking that through into my adult life, I was basically left with zero self-esteem. So as good as I might have looked on paper, I've always been a high achiever. I've had a gorgeous upbringing. I really can't fault any kind of incidents as such to cause these type of things. It's just one of the complexities that, some of these diseases, you're more susceptible to triggers. Yes. I just was really left in this really lonely, isolated place that I'd created for myself. And I just reached a breaking point last year. I was really pushing. So I'll tell you, I had on my plate. And this was me overcompensating because I was clearly filling a void and just trying to do more and more and more and more to find some form of happiness, I suppose. Yeah. So I was the president of my kayak team. I was a neonatal intensive care nurse. I'd just been doing a year of veterinary medicine placements because I was applying to be a veterinary surgeon. And I had a lot of community work on. I did a lot of work with charities, and was running around daft after everyone and anyone, just constantly 24/7. And people had me down as that, that superwoman figure, where you kind of look at them and you think, how is there enough hours in the day? And it's because there wasn't. And it was really, really unhealthy. I was vastly unhappy chasing all of these things that nothing was filling me up. And I just reached a complete breaking point where I exhausted myself. So that was kind of 25 years of just pure exhaustion that all came to a head, and I became, really critically unwell with it. And so it wasn't by choice actually that I received help. It was actually my mum who had rang the crisis team, because that's kind of how bad it got. And I was really extremely suicidal. So that, strangely enough, was the wake-up call, I think, for all of us, and recognizing that it doesn't have to be a severe situation. It doesn't have to be a massive life trauma. These things can actually just build up, and scarily completely go unnoticed. And for someone who is so full of life and so full of love and so full of gratitude for everything that I've come across in life, for me to reach a point where I actually just didn't want to live anymore, that was really terrifying, I think, obviously for me and for my family as well.
And thank God, that you had people around you.
I know, yeah. So
that really quickly, because it can go unnoticed, because people would not have necessarily thought that Emma that they know and love, that's always looking out for them and looking after them, would actually be feeling like this.
Yeah, exactly. And that actually, that is one of the biggest kind of reasons why I've come into these businesses, is because it really terrified me that even with all of that support, it still took a good 3 solid months of crisis care, really intensive treatments, really intensive therapy, and I was as engaged as I could have been. But people are out there and they don't know that these services are available. They don't have that amazing family behind them, or friends or support networks. And I just really think that we need to work harder to provide that for other people.
Definitely, absolutely. And so I take it that part of your recovery was actually Piffy and Egg being born.
It absolutely was. So I've always been quite a creative person, and I actually, kind of presentation of my OCD, when I'd just started to become unwell, was that I was kind of really frantically trying to make some clean spaces and clear everything out. And this is a good practice in minimalism, but it was really, really obsessive and trying to kind of clean up my headspace essentially, but I was doing it in a physical form. And so I redecorated a room that was going to be, a place of calm. And I was just in this creative energy, and I was looking at this wall that I painted, and I thought, I need to make something to go up there. But the kind of art that I usually do is, really bold and really colourful. And I that was almost too much, and I needed something really clean and organised. And I found this copper tape in the garage, slug repellent tape, and started making some gorgeous kind of geometric shapes. And then from there, I've kind of developed a whole launch line of these amazing geometric animals as well. And they've got the lovely sheen of the copper. And that was something that I did throughout my recovery. So, and even now, with launching 2 businesses, the most therapeutic thing about it is if ever I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'll actually just go and craft and turn to that art therapy, to become kind of mindful again. and zone into that, you know, true creative side of your brain. And it's just been the best outlet. And again, it's not promoted strongly enough yet. And I think it's something that, again, as communities, we should all be using more of.
Yeah, I agree completely, 100%. And I take it when it comes to Piffy and Egg, can people buy your artwork, or is there an opportunity for them to actually, you know, have some sort of box where they can dive in and begin to find out what their creative spark is, or how does it work?
Yeah, so the product's available in the launch line. There's artwork available, so it's already made and framed, and there's a whole host of different designs. So hopefully there'll be something to suit everyone. And I also developed little craft boxes, like you said, so little art therapy boxes, and they're a little bit more than just kind of your bog standard craft box. So it shows you how to do the copper work, which is really, really simple and such a lovely task to do. But it also has a lot of mental health information in there, and it encourages you to turn the box into a positive affirmation box when you're finished with it as well, and fill it full of everything that makes you happy, whether that's kind of pictures or little trinkets, or it's got some gratitude cards in to write down, you know, to encourage people to start journaling, just to kind of take you that one step further than the task is finished, so what do I do now? It's to encourage you to develop these reflective practices and keep it in this lovely little box when you finished as well.
Oh, incredible. That sounds amazing. So just to finish off speaking about Piffy and Egg for a second, where can people go and find you? I think you've got a website, and you know, people can find you online in the community and stuff as well.
Yeah, that's right. So so we're at piffyandegg.co.uk, and that launch is officially next week. I can't believe it. So next Saturday, the 11th of August. And for anyone in the Newcastle upon Tyne area, we're having a huge party, and it's kind of turned into a bit of a music festival, food festival, just a huge celebration. And you can also catch us on Facebook and Instagram if you just / or tag us in at Piffy and Egg as well.
Amazing. It's so exciting, Emma. It's incredible.
I know. Honestly, I'm so buzzing about it next week. I can't wait for this party. It's just going to be so much fun, and that's what the brand's all about. It's just bringing together communities and having so much fun together. So I can't wait.
So inspiring. So tell me a little bit more then about how the EClarity Coaching kicked off after that. I know you said that you knew there was something a little bit more that you wanted to dive into. So how did it come about?
Yeah, so it was just this kind of feeling that Piffy and Egg is such a wonderful positive movement, but you know, when people are really stuck, sometimes they can't engage with that you know, quite as well as would hope them to. So I just wanted to also hone in on people who are in, you know, high stress jobs, who are feeling really stuck, are feeling like they're not really sure where they want to go. They know that their value is there, but they're not really, you know, they don't know what steps are next to actually reach their full potential. And I came across some amazing coaches. You were one of them. I had a lovely call with you. I think back, it must have been a few months ago, wasn't it, when I was kind of just concept stages of Piffy and Egg.
Right at the beginning, or possibly.
I know, yeah. And I was just like grabbing my pictures off the wall, like, look, Jen, this is what I've done. I don't know what I'm doing, but I've done this.
I loved it.
Yeah, and but so I kind of started looking more and more into coaching after I'd seen a lot of you from the Boss Babe Society, and I thought that avenue really ticks all of these boxes, and if I target it properly, then I'll be able to find these people and I'll be able to help them before burnout. So which is huge for me, is catching people well before that kind of rock bottom phenomenon that so many of us actually experience.
Absolutely, and being sometimes either creative person, or especially in the entrepreneurial kind of world, we do take on so much, and there's so much racing around our head and all these ideas and concepts, and like you said, it can be very easy just to overcommit yourself a little. That's the kind of spiral for that burnout, which can hit and can really floor you for months, you know, years.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, I've not worked as an intensive care nurse now. It's actually 12 months, which is a ridiculous amount of time. If you'd said that to me last year, I would be like, no, there's no way I'm going to be off work ever. Never mind for 12 months. And it's because I really, really hit that rock bottom. And I believe that nobody ever has to kind of reach that point. I do think that we can all support each other enough to prevent that from happening to people. And you know, the methods that I use are kind of health model based. So one of my favorites is compassion focused therapy by Paul Gilbert, and that is literally just, you know, if you recognize in the very, very early stages that you might be struggling, then take the step out then. Whereas so many of us feel pressure, you know, you want to jump straight back into work, you feel like you're letting the team down, you feel like you're letting your clients down, and all of these other things. Or whether it's you're terrified of losing any income because you're supporting your family. All of those things actually just fuel that journey to burnout, and we should be stepping back at the beginning of that. And that's where I really want to support people.
So I would love to ask you if there was anyone out there who, I know there will be, listening to this podcast today, and they're feeling, even at the beginning stages of, you know, maybe losing a little bit of control, or, you know, not feeling happy, not feeling fulfilled. What would your advice be, like, right now for them? Like, what are the steps maybe that they could take?
So I always say to people that knowing your limitations is a strength. So we so often put this kind of self-stigma on ourselves of feeling like we're weak if we step down, or if you take time out, or and it's all self-stigma. It's fueled by societal stigma of you know, this kind of burden and this dark blanket surrounding mental well-being, and if you're not functioning at 100%, then, you know, you're not working hard enough, and all of these kind of nonsense sort of sayings that we've been brought up with. Whereas actually, if you flip that on its head, knowing your limitations is absolutely a strength. It is such a gift to be able to see where your capacity is, and to learn to kind of take that step back well in advance of you kind of taking on too much. And also I'll promote with that, so knowing your limitations is a strength, but letting someone in is a virtue. And I'm all about collaborative work, and that for me, it allows me to kind of fuel myself and build with skills with people. But it also means if you are taking a step out, then you've got a shared community that someone else can support you with. And that's relevant for me across all areas of life. So letting someone in, I didn't do that last year, and since I have, then I just feel this wonderful strength, and I just feel, you know, that this most beautiful foundation is behind me, that I just know that I'm never ever going to fall to rock bottom again, because there's too many people in the way. I've got this whole army behind me now.
Support, you feel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's just solid, and it feels amazing. So yeah, always accept help as well.
Oh yes, it's so easy to just feel like that Wonder Woman, isn't it? And
I know, and I'm not good. It can feel really, really good. It can feel good, but it's not sustainable. And you would rather be running, you know, let's stay on these high vibes, but don't be pushing over the 100%, because that is going to run out. That's going to run you down, and then you'll go from like 150 to 10% overnight. And
you're right.
Exactly. And then you're out the game. So stay at 100, absolutely, but there's no point in overindulging in it just because it feels good at that time. It's not going to be something that your body, mind, your soul, your friends and family can handle for a longer period. So
amazing. Oh, Emma, thank you so much. When it comes to your coaching side of things as well, how can people reach out to you for that?
Again, I've got a website for that, and that's EClarityCoaching.com, and I have a lovely little Facebook group that's just growing at the moment called Transparently You. If anyone wants to jump in there, we're just all getting to know each other, so it's actually really, really nice because we're bonding. So jump in at the start, because that's a great place to get to know some of these amazing people who we're all working on the same things together.
Oh, incredible. Emma, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. Your story is so inspiring, and I am looking forward to watching your rise and watching your journey, and also watching the people that you're able to help and assist with not only your one incredible coaching business, but also with Piffy and Egg as well. It's such an adventure you're on.
Oh, thank you. I know, I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I'm just really happy that I obviously got to meet you and got to see this at the baby stages and being born. So yeah, thank you for allowing me to be inspired by you as well.
I know, but thank you as well, because you've been a huge inspiration watching you with all of your coaching and the way, that you're fueled by this need to help others as well. You're an absolute inspiration to me, and I'm just so excited to be coming into this business. So
you're going to be doing amazing things. You really are. You're doing amazing things already. Never mind.
I know, it's getting ridiculous. I love it. Oh. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Emma. I'm going to say thank you so much for everyone that's listening out there today as well. It's an absolute honour and a privilege, as always, to have you part of the Unstoppable community. If you're not part of it yet and you've just came across this by accident, then if you drop down to the links below, you will find out not only information about Emma and her businesses and what she's got going on, but you'll also find out a little bit about Unstoppable and how you can possibly have a little spot on this podcast show too. So I'm going to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening again, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for listening, and I will speak to you all real soon. Take care, everyone.